Some of the most strange stories, really, isn't it, of recent times, because we've seen it more and more. People in the media spotlight that have disgraced themselves and somehow are looking for rehabilitation. You know, recently over here we have the TV presenter Jeremy Kyle back in court because of a, well, shall we say, very dark and disturbing story about a former guest on his show that sadly took his own life, and a terrible twist and turn about that particular story. I would say, actually, in defence of that story, there's a lot more people apart from the front man that should have been hauled in front of those people. You know, production team, production assistants, people must have known what was going on behind the scenes. So it's fascinating to see exactly how this has played out. The once much respected former BBC broadcaster Hugh Edwards has finally, of course, been sentenced. But a lot of people are saying it's simply not enough. However, according to sources, the BBC are planning to get their own back by doing this. Let me explain. Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much as ever for taking the time out to join me today. This lush green background, always nice it's nice, isn't it? Yes, tranquil and relaxing is what I like to consider it. Hope you're all keeping well, whatever you're doing, and as ever, I'm glad you're enjoying so many of the videos. It's nice to have your feedback and thoughts on them, and thank you as ever for liking and sharing them. That's really important, by the way. In particular, the sort of darker stories about, you know, cash swindling and stuff like that. I like those to get out and about so that it may help somebody else, you know, because we don't see everything, do we? You know, this is the problem. We don't know what's going on, and suddenly you find out and think, oh, right, is this what's happening, you know? Now, Hugh Edwards, as you know, was recently requested to give back £200,000 that the BBC claim they've overpaid him, and they just put in a request. And as I told you a while back now, he's basically said, stuff it, he's not paying it, and that's that. You know, they can't force him. They, you know, paid it, and they knew what was going on behind the scenes. You know, that's the deal. They truly knew what was going on behind the scenes. Now, what's interesting is that while Hugh is now picking up the pieces of his life, and, you know, whatever thoughts you think of him, he's got to live with the consequences of what he's now done. What's interesting, though, is simply this. You see, the bottom line is the BBC are very good at making sure they hold their own to account at their expense. A couple of years back now, if you remember, they did a docu on Jimmy Savile, another disgraced BBC presenter. And Jimmy Savile, of course, was notorious in the corridors of power of the BBC. And this starred Steve Coogan. It didn't do well, and rightly so, was kind of confined to the dustbin. But the reason the BBC do this is so that they can say, we know the story, we're going to tell you what we, you know, why we're not attached to it at all of that sort of stuff. Let me tell you, people at the BBC are liars. You know, everybody knew inside the BBC the problem with Hugh Edwards. Everybody knew it. And the bottom line is they just decided to hope it would go away or never be exposed. Lots of people have complained about Hugh Edwards inside the BBC newsroom. What was interesting about that particular story is that the BBC apparently are looking at options to turn this debacle, this disgraceful episode in the BBC's life into another drama. That's right. They feel it could either be a docudrama where they get the reenactment and that sort of stuff, or indeed a full documentary, basically exonerating themselves. And as you can imagine, this is going to be rather tricky, allegedly, because it's a little bit like the Martin Bashir debacle. You can only take blame, you know, you can only abstain blame, for that period of time. Somebody must have known what was going on, as in the case of Bashir. Bashir's still gone free. Hugh Edwards has gone, well, career nosedive, and rightly so. But the inside track is the BBC believe the public should know the reasoning to their actions and why it happened in this way. Again, allegedly. But do you agree? And really, was the sentencing for Hugh Edwards far too lenient? Love to know what you think, as ever, in the comments below. And if you can, please like and share. Neil Shawn, Kensington, London.